We're fast approaching Halloween, so it's time to start getting into some scary films. So what film am I picking this week? Well, it's one that a remake is also just about to come out to the cinema. So in preparation of that, so let's have a look at the original The Witches. The Witches is a 1990 dark fantasy comedy film directed by Nicolas Roeg and produced in Jim Henson in one of the last films he actually worked on. It's based on the 1983 book of the same name by Roald Dahl. As in the original novel, the story features evil witches who masquerade as ordinary women and kill children, and a boy and his grandmother must find a way to foil them and destroy them. When the film was released, it was very well received by critics but performed poorly at the box office. However, over the years, it has retained a cult following. So what could have made this film better? Well, that's what we're going to have a look at this week, as we take a look at 10 things to make The Witches better. Number 10, Mr. Bean Cameo. Now, I'm not actually talking about Rowan Atkinson, who starred as the hotel manager, but yeah, Mr. Bean actually made a cameo appearance. Not in the film though, outside the film. So much so that Rowan Atkinson had a Mr. Bean moment when he fell asleep in his hotel room with the bath running. So he flooded his hotel room, but it got worse. The flooding actually went downstairs and was shorting out all the electricals. There were people banging on his door trying to wake him up, and all he said was, "Go away, I'm sleeping," not realising the carnage he was causing. Now luckily they managed to solve everything and the film went ahead, but Mr. Bean's cameo appearance nearly derailed this entire film. Number 9, opening credits. So the opening credits of this film, it's got nice catchy music, it's got nice font, and it's nice green font on the screen. But it's doing a zooming over snow-covered mountains. What? What the hell's snow-covered mountains got to do with this film? Keep it black, keep it simple, or put like whooshing sound effects all over the screen, but snow-covered mountains. It looked like something out of Superman. Lots of films like copying the Superman films, really. But it didn't make sense, it didn't flow with the film, it did nothing to the film. In fact, it was quite confusing. I was like, well, I don't quite get it. Anything, make it opening credits something to do with the film itself. Number 8, motivation. This is something coming quite regular on this show. Why do the witches hate children? It's never explained in the film. It's also never explained in the book either. But why do witches hate children so much? It's never explained. I don't quite understand it. Why don't they go after grown-ups? They're called grown-ups in the show, so I'm going to call grown-ups in this video. But they'd never actually go or explain why they hate children. And as we said before, sometimes us as the audience need to understand that why, so we can get behind the bad guy and either love him or hate him even more. Number 7, audio issues. Now this may be an issue because of Mr. Bean mishap that I've said earlier in this video, but there are quite a few times where the audio doesn't really tally up with what's going on the screen. For example, Bruno, he's saying, I hate margarine. His mouth doesn't move. The cook saying, what's that then? His mouth doesn't move. Mr. Stringer actually says a few things, his mouth doesn't move. Unfortunately, that's just a few examples. This happens quite a lot during this film where there's a lot of audio issues. Now, I'm not the expert on audio issues. This is probably the biggest thing I have to work on, so I'm well aware that how difficult it is. But I'm not a professional. I don't have millions of pounds to spend on a budget. This film does. This has trained professional directors, trained professional actors, sound engineers, set designers. Everyone who works on this film is a professional, and they make silly little mistakes to do with the audio. Number 6, Chandelier. I so want to be having the song Chandelier playing in the background for this part, but I'd get told off for copyright issues, and I'm borderline on those as it is. But when the Grand High Witch makes a grand appearance taking off her mask, or the witches in the ring take off their wigs and gloves, why is the chandelier swinging? There's no magic being used, unless you talk about her nose being squashed, but yeah, there's no magic being used. But yeah, the chandelier is swinging back and forth. Could anyone explain that one? Is her power so great that when she takes her costume off, a great big wave of energy goes somewhere? It doesn't actually make sense at all. Number 5. Extras. So once the witches have all come out of their costumes and they're actually looking like what they're supposed to be, bold, horrible hands, squared feet, only Roald Dahl can come up with stuff like that. But it's so obvious that majority of the people who sat as witches, who are all women, are men. Yep, go and watch it. They're all men. They're all men in drag. Why couldn't you get... I mean, the extras get paid the same. The going rate is around about £20 to £50 a day in UK money. Why could you not have got loads of women in bold caps rather than men coming in? It doesn't actually make sense. It's a bit, a bit sexist towards women, especially in a day where we're trying to build up women's rights and all that. In a women's role, you cast men. Lots of men. Number 4. Who caught Luke? So after Luke has heard their plans, he does a running, he does a daring escape, all the witches are after him. He's escaped all them, he goes back to his grandma and the Grand High Witch is there waiting for him. So he's captured. So far, so good. Until the next scene when all the witches are carrying Luke. Let's not forget they managed to carry him through the entire hotel with nobody seeing that. When they're carrying him, they're all saying, "We caught him, we caught him." No, you didn't. The Grand High Witch caught him. None of you did nothing. She did all the work. That's why she's the Grand High Witch. You're taking credit for her work. And remember what happened to the witch that annoyed her earlier? I wouldn't risk it, would you? Number 3. OAP Violence. So when Luke's grandmother tries to return Bruno the mouse to his parents, they understandably get really irate. Hysterical even. That's all understandable, that's fine. They're all shouting, saying, "Go away, go away," and I get that. The bit I draw the line about is he picks up a towel and starts beating this old lady with a tea towel. I've got no words for that actually. Why are you hitting an old lady? No. End of. No. This is in 1990s. Hell, even today's standards, that's wrong. It makes you look like an you-know-what, even though you were a bit of a you-know-what throughout this film. But why show violence to an old lady? I didn't like that. I was okay with the shouting because I could understand it, but at no point would I get a tea towel to hit an OAP. Especially as my own grandmother would probably hit me back if I ever did that to her. Number 2. Missing tail. So, in the middle of this film, Luke is turned into a mouse, which so far so good. Now, coming up to the climax of the film, he's running through the kitchen. He is seen by a cook who chops his towel off. Ouch, that must really hurt. And yet, at the end of this film, he still has a missing tail. So when he's turned back into a boy, what part of him is missing? Well, none of it. So you have lost a part of your body. That would be shown later on. A missing finger, a missing thumb, a missing toe. Something would be missing. But he's come back as a perfectly normal, ordinary boy. Now, it could be that the Good Witch actually made him that way, but a little bit of realism, little bit, is that too much to ask for? Number 1, changed ending. So lately, I have been doing a lot of films that are covers or remakes of other films, of other properties, TV series and stuff like that. The Witches is no different, it's based on a book. Now, unlike all these other ones that I've reviewed recently, this one is extremely close to the book, very close indeed, except the ending. There was actually 2 endings filmed. One they showed to Roald Dahl, who loved the ending, which was close to the book, where Luke stays a mouse. Yet, it didn't go down well with test audiences, so they changed it into a nice happy ending where Luke gets turned back into a boy. This upset Roald Dahl so much, he wanted everything pulled. He wanted nothing to do with this film whatsoever. It was only through the actions of Jim Henson that Roald Dahl actually allowed it. But I can see Roald Dahl's points. Why can't we have an unhappy ending? Why can't we have Luke as a mouse? This, out of everything on this list, this is the one thing I'm hoping they keep in the remake. I very much doubt it. But this new version that's coming out, I want Luke to stay out as a mouse at the end of the film. Let's not have Roald Dahl turn in his grave, shall we? Final thoughts. So, what do I really think of this film? Well, ultimately, I enjoyed it. I did want to watch this film with my family, but due to other circumstances, I ended up watching this film on my own. And I'm sat at my computer watching this film, laughing. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. Now I'm 39 and I'm watching a kids film and having fun, which is great. I haven't actually done that in quite some time. There's not actually overly that much wrong in this film, and this week, yes, I am nitpicking. There are a lot of issues behind the scenes, and the changed ending are probably the biggest flaws. But other than that, the casting was brilliant. Anjelica Huston was awesome as the Grand High Witch. The only other person I had in mind for this role was Cher. She would have been good as well, but I'm glad they got Anjelica Huston on this film, and that was just brilliant. This is probably the role perfect for her, and I hope they give her a cameo in the remake. I don't know if they have yet, I haven't seen the remake yet. Other than that, Grandma was brilliant. Rowan Atkinson was brilliant as his usual self. The kid that plays Luke only ever had 3 film roles in his career. This was the second one. He went on to being in Hook, never acted again. I can see why he wasn't that good of an actor. That being said, his voiceover work was absolutely superb, and I'm surprised he's not actually gone on to do more voiceover stuff, because that was top notch. It was brilliant. The same with the kid who played Bruno, because this was his only ever acting role. Never again gone on to voiceover work. Same again, he was brilliant as voiceover work. The special effects was, oh my god, 20 years on. 30 years on even. I'll correct myself and I'll leave that in the edit. 30 years on, the special effects, the creature effects for them mice were brilliant. I mean, this is what Jim Henson did best. Even today, even by today's standards where everything is CGI, these little puppets made with miniature strings were fantastic. They were brilliant. Unfortunately, this was the last project he ever worked on, and you can see the amount of workmanship, the detail that goes in his work, and there is no one on this planet that is anywhere close to the level he was. The music was fantastic as well. Everything about this film was fantastic. It's a good, enjoyable family film that you should all sit down. The only thing that's wrong with this film, it's not a Disney film. And that, to make it a film on a Disney level, without being Disney, is not an easy thing to do, but this film pulls it off. So, what am I going to rank it? I'm going to be ultra nice. I'm actually going to give this 9 out of 10, because even though all the flaws, ultimately, you can't not enjoy this film. And the only reason why I'm knocking it down from 10 is because of the change ending and those inty-winty little flaws. But other than that, yeah, you've got to enjoy this film. But what did you think? Did you enjoy this film? As you can see, I can't stop smiling and laughing because I'm actually so happy that I enjoyed this film. But what did you think? Did you like this film? Write your reviews in the comments below, because I'll enjoy reading them. I'll get defensive if you disagree with me, but hey, because I'm a nitpicking YouTuber, so that's what I do. What am I doing next week? Well, we've done one Halloween film. Let's do another one. What film shall we do next week for Halloween? If anyone gets it, I will pin that comments like I normally do. But if you want to get in touch with me, I'm on social networking at Berryman81. There's links in the description below. And other than that, I will see you next Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.